everybody. We want to get started, so please come in, grab a chair. We've got some, we've saved the best for last, as they say. All right, come on in. And then, after we hear from these wonderful people, we get to have some pizza and some cocktails. So that sounds like the good life to me. All right. I'm going to pass it off to Kay Van Petten from Sonic Guild, and go from there. All right.
Y'all, Paris Alexa is in the house. Bow down. Round of applause. The queen is here. Thank you all so much for staying this late at the Shoreline Music Summit. We are so excited to be here with prolific local songwriter, Paris Alexa. Absolute icon. I want to start by asking you to just tell us a little about yourself and your career and where you're at right now, and just the elevator pitch.
Oh God, usually it's like a copy paste bio that I can just use. But I'm Paris Alexa. I'm a singer songwriter, vocal producer, creative director. I've worn many hats, as all of you have as well. But yeah, I'm a writer and a singer. That's kind of like my bread and butter.
Raise your hand here if you're a songwriter yourself. So many songwriters in the house.
Yes, in good company.
I want to start by asking you what your process is when you're writing a song. I'm sure there's many. I'm sure it's a winding creative road, but can you kind of break down that process for us?
Yes. So I am a girl in my mid-20s, and so I think a lot about like other creative mediums that I use as inspiration, or like unconventional ways to continue adapting my process. Kind of like a makeup artist is like, oh, this is my new base, or like what they changed their bread and butter that they're kind of going to after a while. So my process when I was younger was a lot different, but now I start with the topic. Like I kind of choose my metaphor or whatever the song's going to be about before I even like start, and then I kind of free write, and then I make those lines match the rhythm and like rhyme scheme to make sense, essentially. Kind of sometimes it's backwards because most people just ad lib. But one fun thing I've been doing recently is when I need a strong concept or I need a strong like idea or metaphor, I go to like Fashion Nova or one of those little like, sometimes it's like Macy's or whatever, and go through their clothes, like what their clothes names are. It'll be called like Starlight Showstopper dress, like whatever. And it's been very helpful. So that is my little like new tip that I've been using in all my sessions. Yeah.
I thought I'd heard it all, but that's a new one, definitely. I hear there's a song that you wrote that you maybe recorded here. Can you tell us about that song's process, how it happened, and how it found its way here to London Bridge Studio?
Yes, the last time I was here, I played and recorded my song "Water Me," and that song was like debuted by NPR, and like all these amazing things happened from it. But it was one of those songs that I was younger, and I made it on my loop station and like my piano. And I was just kind of performing it occasionally. Sorry, what?
For folks who don't know what a loop station is, can you explain that?
Loop station is like a handheld machine where I'm basically able to like create production with my voice through live looping, and not even live looping, but like sometimes recorded loops is really what I kind of referred to. And there's like 5 different tracks, so I can kind of trigger them at different points. But very intimate, essentially. Very much an intimate, like I was young. And the song is about like admitting vulnerability, like needing to be watered like a plant. And I was performing it, but I wasn't putting it out because I was like, it's like too intimate. People want to turn up song. And one of my performances, like my dad was crying in the back. And I kind of like, afterwards, he's like, that song means so much to me. And so they kind of convinced me to put it out. And my producing partner at the time brought me here. And it was like my first fully produced song that I made by myself. So it was special, yeah.
And you started it just by looping, right? And so do the lyrics come first for you, or the melody, or does it change sometimes?
I think it's like concept, lyric, melody, but I'm trying now to do more concept, melody, lyric, because as we all know as songwriters, even though the words are so important to us, 9 times out of 10, nobody knows what you're saying, or they're gonna make up their own words or whatever. So the melody's king, you know.
So when you say concept, what do you mean? What is how do you come up with a concept for a song, and then how does that manifest both into the lyrics and the music?
Right. So I'll take the Fashion Nova dress example. Right. So like let's say it's called like, I don't know. Let's take something more generic like Jello. Let's say the dress is called like Jello dress. I basically from there I'm like, okay, cool. It's like a weird title, Jello. I have to massage that idea into like, how is that metaphor gonna make any sense in context to me? Like, am I talking about the way I move? Am I talking about like every time I walk in the room, everything shakes? Like whatever that metaphor is, like there's usually a noun and a topic and then some way to bridge it in some literary element to me or whatever I'm trying to like tell the audience. So I kind of like to get that down pat first, and then all the other lines are like cool and clever and continue to prove that point. Kind of like writing an essay. It's real boring, but yeah.
Now I have to ask what your astrological sign is, just based on the amount of control you have for concept. Tell us. Tell us.
This is the only place that I'm like relatively organized in, like songwriting. But I'm a Leo. I'm a big Leo. Shout out
Sorry,
Leos.
I had to ask.
Are you a Leo?
No, I'm a Gemini.
Oh, I love Geminis.
Okay, so I want to dive into collaborations. And can you tell us about any collaborations you've done and how you approach collaborative songwriting or even production as well?
Yeah. As I was kind of stating when I was talking about like my bio, it's kind of hard to describe like all the things that I do, and I'm sure you guys can all relate to that, because even songwriting, like what does that mean? Does that mean simply instrumental? Does that mean lyricism? Does that mean top lining? Like, does that mean, you know, what? There's so many different hats. So when it comes to collaboration, I feel like even that fits into different boxes as well. I tend to not collaborate on my stuff, like my own personal artist project. I feel like because so much of my career is spent writing with major label artists, I want to like keep a little sacred personal touch to my music and like not really, unless I'm like, oh, I really hear this, can you do this cello part, or can you do something specific that I'm asking someone to do? When it comes to writing for other people, that it's like I think of it like 2 different ways. Writing sessions, like doing them every day back to back to back, is a little bit crazy. And when I lived in LA for like 2 or so years, I was like doing it every single day, where my publisher would send me a random location, a random person, a little bio, and then bam, and now we're at the session and I'm like, what's your deepest, darkest secret? Tell me right now. And then do it again, you know, or do a double or whatever. And it reminds me of speed dating. Yeah. And a little bit like therapy, essentially. Like, people don't understand how much humility it takes to be a songwriter and like to write someone else's story. You're like, what you're kind of utilized for in those sessions is not your story. It's not your voice or your interpolation of even what they're saying. It's like you have to find the words for them that feel like them. And I've written certain songs before where like, especially when I was early on starting, like where it sounded like me and the concept was correct, but they were like, it didn't feel like their song. It really felt like my song. And then, you know, that's not the goal of the session. The goal is to get the artist to sing the song. So it's a lot of like psychological games kind of, or like psychological like coaching that you have to do for yourself, convincing the artist without like convincing the artist. So yeah.
Do you have any advice for creating safe spaces for those collaborations to happen? Or can you give us any examples of things you do to make those rooms feel super safe for writing?
Yeah, I've had some like really cool and personal situations. Like I was writing with an artist named Dreezy. She's like a rapper, singer from Chicago. And she had just come back from some award show or something and had like was wearing like the craziest outfit. It was like some like, I don't know, like sparklers shooting off her shoulders and like a crazy bodysuit, and we just had like a session for the rest of the night. And I was like, I got a bunch of clothes in my trunk. Like, do you want some sweats? And she was like, yeah, girl. Like, yeah. So she just was like wearing my clothes the whole session, and like little things like that after, you know, you get to know people and you get the call back, like your interpersonal relationships really matter because they're trusting you with these sacred feelings and emotions that they're hoping to turn into words that other people will understand. So I think just taking that relationship that you have with artists really seriously has helped me. Like, these people are my friends now. And then also like not being too hard on yourself when maybe you're not their cup of tea and they're not yours. It's like, I don't know, it's just like everything, like coworkers or anything. You can't be, and you're kind of grateful for that. Don't mold yourself to like be palatable in every room. That's never helped me.
So I know that you are a collector of, a user of iPhone memos, that you use a lot of voice memos when you write. Can you talk to us a little bit how you use voice memos and how you take something from memo to demo to finished song, and how do we take just a little idea that we had when we were getting out of our car and turn it into a song? It feels like a miracle.
Okay, so another little hack or tip that I have is this app that every songwriter that I know should have. It's called Untitled. I don't know if any of you guys use it. Yeah, it's the best app that I have ever come across, because it's not just like regular Apple iPhone memos. It's like you're able to create mini projects and see your demos as an album. Listen to songs in like, you know, in succession, like listen through to another, if you wanted to hear like an outro into another intro, or like it just sounds complete, it looks complete, it does something psychologically to your brain to be like, oh, I gotta finish this and put it out, in a way that other apps don't. But I actually still use both, and my Apple memos are mostly utilized in the car. For some reason, when I'm doing something physical, like my brain is just going. So I will just you'll hear like the road and all the back of all of them, and I'm kind of like, dun, 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 dun. Like I'll kind of like sing melody of the music that I want to create, and all of them sound disjointed. If I were just to play them, you guys would be like, what? But in my mind, it sounds like really good.
Do you have any examples of specific songs that started as a memo and turned into a full song?
Yeah.
Will
Honestly,
you show us your memos?
Yeah, I'll show you. I will say, so the recent, like one of my biggest songs that I just recently wrote was Supernova by aespa, which is a K-pop song. So interesting, but the beginning of that song goes, I'm like some kind of supernova, watch out. And everyone loves to say that part, and now it's like getting dubbed on TikTok and all these remixes and stuff. But I actually like came up with that on the way up to the session. Like I was in the elevator, and it was like, again, just a little voice memo where I was like, I want it to be something about machinery and like supersonic something. And I kind of just said that, and it ended up like staying in the track and being like one of the pivotal like hook parts of the song. But at the time, it was just a little voice memo where I sound like, and like it sounds kind of like crazy. So yeah, let's see if I have it.
Yeah, if you have it, we would love to hear it.
Okay, if I can find it, I will.
I'll ask my next question while you look. But you were just talking about K-pop and how you've transitioned a little and you've had quite an evolution in your songwriting career. Do you think it's changed how you approach the actual structure of building a song, of writing a song? Or do you think as you move through different genres or even different eras of your life that it stays pretty consistent?
I feel, yes, 1,000,000%, structure has changed. And honestly, it's changed in a way that like early on in my career, I wouldn't have expected. I've gotten a lot like, tell me if you guys understand what I'm saying when I say this. It takes a lot more brain power to do things more simply, if that makes any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm quick to come up with a crazy concept and be like, and the astrophysicist and the like, you know, something crazy, but making it just consent, like a la 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 la, just something that's an earworm that's stuck in your head. It takes so much brain power to rework your mind from doing something overly complicated. And so I've gotten so much more like simple. I've stopped like over guessing. I'm like, this is corny. This is bad. With K-pop, it's like they're gonna change all the words, so who cares? Like, just send it to them. So yeah, I think I've gotten a lot more simple in my process. And let's see. Okay, I think I found it, by the way. Maybe sing the second one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2, 3. Look at me go. In control. And now on. So high. And that though. Yeah. A lot of them sound exactly like that. Like that boat. Not the same as just approaching a beat with just melody. Like I don't know, I got ADD, so I can't really do that. I think I already came into it thinking like everything in this song is gonna be about machinery. Everything in this song is gonna be about like intergalactic whatever. So even the da-da-da-da needed to be like, in my mind, like out of control. Or like, you know what I mean? I was kind of already catering towards some of those words, so.
So clearly you are a big user of the demo, and a lot of people here talk about demoitis, or this disease of songs always staying in the demo stage. What advice do you have for people how do you know when a song is finished, and what advice do you have for people who are trying to take a group of demos to the finish line?
I mean, between you guys and I, the song's never finished, so. But that Untitled app has helped me so much. There's a feature in it where you can press, like replace the audio, and you can put a new version of the same audio like right below it. So you can flip between it and hear like, okay, what did I add? What did I change? Did I like that? Do I want to revert? Do I like, and it kind of like just, I don't know, encourages growth for that song. I also do not send, I'm such a hypocrite because I just did this, but I don't really send demos to my friends or family or people that I know are going to get attached to a certain version of a song because they don't know how it works. Like, I've made the mistake of sending a song to my mom. She has this one archaic freaking demo from 2011, and she knows all those words, and like now the words are so updated. There's full B section in it, and she's like, "Well, what happened to the other?" Like, I don't need that. I don't need it. So I'm gonna just send it when I'm about to send it to the bounces. You know, when I'm ready for the mixes and the masters. That's when I start like sending the links out, because I don't really, outside influence could be a little.
I'm going to ask you one more question, then we're going to transition to questions, so start thinking what you want to ask. But how can songwriters build sustainable careers as songwriters?
Oh, wow. We were kind of talking about this a little bit, but like a lot of our careers are not real job titles, if that makes any sense. Like, so I have continued to like invent myself and find new ways to make a sustainable career. For example, like, you know, I've been in the game for like, I don't know, over a decade at this point, like writing with major label artists, but my real big break didn't come until maybe like the last 2 years or so. So up until then, like, what am I doing to make it make sense? Performing's obvious. Performing is kind of like always something you can rely on, but I've taught like songwriting classes, and like that has been super helpful. Just taught me a lot about like the structure of teaching, and also that I have so much knowledge in this one specific area. Like, you guys all know so much more about songwriting than the average person just from repetition. And that can be quantified through a class, and making like master classes. That's been really helpful for me. And then recently, like, I've jumped into the crazy world of sync, and that is so multifaceted. Like, one avenue I've been working with like jingle houses, and they just need like, they already have pre-written songs that they just need vocalists to sing, and they'll just give you a payment, and then you do that. Sometimes they need the songs written, and that's a different payment. Some of them are spots, so like I'm doing like a Google Pixel thing, so it's like you gotta write a song that's like, you know, that sounds like it'd be an Apple commercial, like beep bop bop boop beep bop, you know, dance dance battery low, like that. So that's been cool. And part of my journey as a songwriter has really been just about transparency, telling more people about these avenues. So once I've kind of got my foot in the door, I'm kind of like, take my class, I'll give you the links to all these other things. So like figuring out how to structure the business of that has been really interesting. That's kind of where I'm at now. But there are so many different types of avenues, even hitting up like small businesses, local businesses, like, hey, do you guys need a jingle? Or like, hey, do you guys need, that's been pretty helpful for me. They just kind of have some extra change and they're like, well, sure, we'll just put these in our commercials and your voice is out there. It's kind of like a win-win. So yeah, there's been a lot of cool ways I've found.
Well, I hope people ask some more questions about sync because I'm definitely interested in that. But I want to open the floor up. Does anyone immediately have any questions? Yeah, right here. What was that? Who do you study for songwriting and vocal production? Yeah.
I think, and I'm glad you said study because I really do. And I think it's really important to study songwriters and understand, like, why do I like that? What are they doing that I can do? Or is there a name for that? Like something that's easily identifiable because that little thing could be across multiple different genres. And that's what I've found. Like vocal production, I love Brandy. Like Brandy's vocal production is insane. That's like started inspiring me from youth. But more recently, like K-pop vocal production is crazy. A lot of their like lead melodies end up being a part of the production and like where they're placing vocals. I try to listen in like mixing headphones so I can literally see like, whoa, where's that? Like that harmony is coming from literally over here and that one's from over here. Like spatial recognition has kind of been something I'm into also recently, but K-pop, just like pop vocal production is usually like 800 million vocal stacks. That's what I'm into.
Yes, right here. Is
Yeah.
change uncomfortable, inevitable, everything in between?
That's a great question. First of all, there's a couple questions in there, but first of all, my career has definitely like shifted and changed a lot. Like when I first started, I was very much like, I am a songwriter first. And labels were really off put by that. They'd be like, wait, you want to write songs? And I'm like, yeah, like I actually, and they're like, what? So, cause usually it's not that. But then I think because the songs couldn't sing themselves, I started putting out my own projects. And then those kind of like happened. Sound Off happened. I didn't even have a stage name. So I was like, I thought I was just going to be writing my songs and sending them off. And that took my career in a completely different space to artistry. And then I was performing and I wasn't really writing for anyone. So my career's kind of gone like this my whole life. And now that I'm like prioritizing songwriting, I'm going back to my artistry. And for my ultimate purpose, like I think that it is essential for everyone to ask themselves, what does success look like to you? You have to identify that before you go into this because, like, for example, if I was a world touring artist right now, I would be sad. I don't want to do that. I want to be home. I like my family. I like my pets. I like smoking weed. You know what I mean? I don't really want to be everywhere. That's just not my vibe. But for somebody else, that's like their ultimate dream. So if you identify what success looks like to you first, and honestly are constantly asking yourself that question, maybe even like annually, it helps to drive and direct your career path a lot better to ultimately make you fulfilled and happy. You asked if it's intentional. No. But you have to kind of make it look like that. Like, you really do. You have to make it look like, oh, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. Like, oh, this is my songwriting year, and this is my artistry year. Like, this is my song. Like, no, it's just indecision. It's just indecision and me re-identifying what is making me happy, what's driving me. And that's because we're human. It's like, I'm never going to be one-dimensional, and allowing yourself to be all that you are is what's ultimately going to fulfill you.
Beautiful answer. Any other questions in the house? What's your process for selecting song forms?
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, I think I was like taught pop, like traditional pop writing, like A-B, or like more specifically like intro, verse, pre-hook, chorus, maybe post, then verse, then hook, bridge, traditional song structure. As I've been inspired by all these different like genres and different things, especially more like modern music, they're not doing that. They're kind of straying away and they're doing whatever's feeling right. And that's again something that takes like that extra brain power. So I've been really trying to like play with time signatures, play with like weird like jazz influences in like a pop R&B track or like stuff like that to kind of make it fresh, make it new and original. Because my traditional brain and what I've been taught is gonna go like verse, chorus, and then when it's not like that, I'm like, where's the vamp? Where's the pre-hook? And it's like it's not to be understood; it's just to be listened to. So I've been trying to like rethink or like shut my brain off sometimes when I'm just going and see where it goes and see if that makes sense, and then make the song from there. If that makes any sense.
Do you remember writing the line that changed it all?
Maybe not like kind of like I was always like a very dramatic young girl. And so like, my mom would make me mad and I'd be like, you can't control me. Like I'd be in the next room and she can hear me like, you can't control me. You think I'm gonna be who you want me to be. So I always was like, man, I'm on to something. Like I'm really like that. But I wasn't. I think that when I started like not writing about my own experience and interpreting other people's situations and experiences, when I realized like, oh, like this is beyond me. And I think I was maybe like 13 and I wrote this song about divorce because I was watching Real Housewives. And what's that one American show where Gabrielle Solis and Desperate Housewives. I was like, not the reality show, Desperate Housewives. Yeah, they get a divorce, and like that was, I loved the characters, so I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't imagine what this is like. And I wrote this song about divorce. My parents have been together for like 25 years, and like that just was not my situation at all. But I was so like, wow, this feeling, like I could probably lean into this and write all about it. And I used the song's called Safe House, and so I wrote like about like there's bombs everywhere. The bombs are on display, but this used to be a safe house. And one of my mom's friends, like I would perform it on the keys, and one of my mom's friends like heard it, and she had just got a divorce and like broke down. And I'm sitting there like, I didn't know. It was beyond me. And I think in that moment I was like, oh, these are really powerful words. And me channeling emotion and putting them into words is doing something more for other people than it even is like doing for me. Another example, I was in the reflections competition when I was in like elementary school, and I wrote a song called Sunshine, and it was like, doesn't matter if it's raining outside and the skies are gray, and I'm trying to make my attitude like sunshine every day. And I was 9. Again, some lady in the back crying. She's like, the seasonal depression is just getting to me in Seattle. Like, you don't understand. I'm sitting there. So I think, again, like when the words transcend just you and your personal situation, you realize like you're maybe I'm doing like a service to people who don't have the voice to say what they're trying to say or the words. And that's, I think, when it became like, oh, this is not an ego job. This is not a job I'm doing for the recognition. This is so that people can be felt and heard. So, yeah. Ooh, girl.
How did you break and then break again?
First of all, thank you so much for supporting me for so long. I really appreciate it. I kind of catering to the last question as well. Like, I didn't know what I was doing as young as I was. I just had a lot to say and a lot of feelings. And I didn't understand, even writing Bloom, like, I look back on that and I'm like, ooh, like, that's really vulnerable, girl. Like, why'd you say all that? And, but it meant a lot for so many people older than me, people younger than me, like, and, like encouragement, I think people really needed. And so I constantly was finding myself in just like opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and I didn't know what was going on around me. Like, that's something I think that within the last like 5 years, because I put out Bloom when I was 19 and I'm 26 now. So it's been some years. Like, it's been a little minute, and I didn't know what was going on for a long time. And now that I'm like not only self-managing, but like I realized I had to start self-managing because with 3 people managing my career, I didn't know what was going on. They would tell me things and I'd be like, and I didn't know what was going on, didn't know who people were, didn't know how I got into. So even that is like, oh, how did I get that? I don't know. But now I do. So I think it really took, like, again, reverse engineering for me to be like, wow, all these situations fell in my lap. Like, I must be destined for this. That was like 19-year-old me. And now I'm like, girl, no, you didn't know what you were doing. You need to know who you're talking to. You need to know what they're talking about. You need to know how to get from point A to point B, how to like, so I think that, no, I didn't know what I was doing. Yikes, like middle school, high school, I've always like been writing songs. It took up time from school. I would skip class to write songs in the school building, and people would be like, yeah, she's a great student, but we never know where she is. And they didn't. So it kind of helped that I did like a lot of youth programs. Like I did Cornish songwriting program. I did Berkeley's 5-week Grammy Camp, National Young Arts. Those were kind of things that equipped me with like, this is how you write a song. This is an intensive like practice pressure we're gonna put on you for the next like 3 days. Like, here's the song from Billy Joel. Let it inspire you to write a song. You're gonna come back here in 1 hour and perform it for the whole group. Like, what? At 15, what? But those are things that I think really stretched me and taught me like, oh, this is a professional career that I can like make into a job. And so from there, from a lot of those opportunities, I like met industry people who were either on the panel or on the board or whatever. And I started writing with them for major label clients. That, and then like it kind of died down. I went back to school and I was like, and then I started like putting out my own, and this was again, 2016-ish. So things are a little different now, but I put out a lot of music on SoundCloud. And I started getting emails from A&Rs like, hey, Kaylani's looking for songs. Can you do this? Like, hey, so-and-so's looking for songs. Can you, whatever. And eventually they were like, we'd love to have you like come to LA. And I'm telling my mom, like, mom. And she's like, girl, yeah, all right. And after maybe like the 3rd or 4th email, I'm like, we have to go to LA. Like I'm getting booked for these sessions. And I'm telling them no. And she's like, okay, so we went. So I think it's like one trip, but ultimately something I can like tell to other people because times have changed. SoundCloud's not really utilized the same way it was. A&Rs are looking for songs. They're looking for songwriters. Like even though you feel like they're not, they're in these weird untitled accounts that have no followers and no page and no picture, no profile picture, and they're looking for songs and music. So like right now, TikTok is so, who knows how long it's gonna be around, but TikTok is so helpful, and as annoying as it can be, if you like rewire your brain to think of it as like a direct creator to consumer pipeline, and start being like, I don't know, maybe block everyone you know if you need to do that, and like, I don't know, make a secret account, make it a different name. Like there's so many different ways that you can just kind of like trick your brain out of feeling like super insecure about it because it's weird to put yourself out there like that. But yeah, I have like 5 TikTok accounts, and I pump my songs, and I've gotten a couple A&R relationships from Twitter, from SoundCloud, from TikTok. So I think the more saturating that you're like trying to put it out there, the more they'll find you, if that makes any sense. I wish there was like a better answer that I have where it's like, oh, you just put your email in, blah, 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 but they do find you. One other thing I guess I can say is like a lot of A&Rs, their titles in their bios on Instagram, like we're in the age of A&Rs wanting to be kind of the stars. And so they'll make sure to put like head of Warner Publishing or like head of blah, blah, blah. Like they'll really make sure to let everybody know like I'm doing shit. I'm in the studio. And so like, I don't know, cold DM those people. Like try to see who they work with. Look at their business pictures. Like who did they just go to the last Empire blah, blah, blah awards with? And like who's in that picture? What do they do? Like kind of go on your little, the way you would stalk like a ex-boyfriend. Like stalk yeah, that's what I'd say.
Incredible advice. All right, well, that's all we have time for. Do you have any closing remarks for us? Anything you want to leave us with as we think about songwriting?
I don't know. I think I'll just say, like, it's really awesome to be a part of events like this. I think we need to continue to have them. We're only as strong as our community, and the more that we like collaborate and like, I don't know, amplify our fan bases, the better. The more that we are able to stretch each other's like pens. So think of me as a resource. I know a lot of you guys already, and I'm grateful for your support. I'm supporting you guys, and yeah.
Awesome. Put your hands together for Paris Alexa.